Hey guys, happy Monday. So as promised, I'm going to do this video that was requested on my experience 1 year as a nurse. I was about to say some complicated thing, but yeah, my experience 1 year as a nurse. So if you guys didn't know, I celebrated my 1 year nurse anniversary, as I like to call it, August 8th or 9th, I believe. Yeah, so I've officially been a nurse for a year. Time flies, guys. It doesn't feel like a year. Like, I feel like I was just in school and just giving you guys updates. And, like, sometimes I like to go back and watch the videos of myself in school because I was just like, yo, I was just there. But yeah, so, I'm kind of just talking off my head of, like, out of my head, of the experiences. But I know, like, certain things I want to touch on. But yeah, so I guess I'll start with before I even became a nurse and what I experienced. Or no, not even before. It was right when I became a nurse. So one of my first experiences as a nurse would definitely be I would say the respect for LPNs slash the hierarchy in nursing. So when I first got hired at my first home healthcare agency, if you guys remember, while I was studying for my NCLEX, before I even took my NCLEX, I applied to the home healthcare agency that I still work for, and I got hired. And then they set me up with like a couple of trainings that I had to do before I did any in-house like orientations. And so during those trainings, it was me and like a couple other LPNs and like 3 RNs, I believe. So I remember when I got there doing the trainings, it was 3 days. So it was kind of like, in a sense, like a little cohort of us, like doing the trainings together because we were there each day seeing each other. And I remember I was the only new LPN at that point. I was only LPN for like a week. Like, I literally just passed my NCLEX, and like the next week or two I started the trainings. So there was other LPNs who were like seasoned nurses. They'd worked for like 30 years, 27 years, 10 years. And then there was 3 RNs who were brand new, just like me, no experience or whatever. So the RNs, the brand new RNs, they got a couple of nursing jobs like right there, because the agencies usually like sometimes schools, instead of like going through the whole application process for like school nurses, sometimes they just go through agencies. So I remember this one brand new RN, no experience, she got the job. They're like, oh, do you want to work for a school? And she was like, okay. And so she got the job, like a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, as a school nurse, which was so cool. We were all happy for him. So I remember it was like the second day or so, one of the LPNs that was sitting next to me, she was like a seasoned nurse. She's like, oh, so you're a brand new LPN? I was like, yeah. And no experience? I'm like, no. She's like, what are you doing here? Why don't you go to a nursing home? That's where you get your experience. I'm like, because I don't want to. And she was like, shoot, I paid my dues. I deserve to be here. And I was like, hold up, wait. So I don't deserve to be here because I'm new? Why didn't you tell that to the RNs? You told that to me. Why? Because I'm an LPN. Do you feel threatened that I chose not to suffer in my like work experience compared to you? Like, it was just so weird. And that was like my intro to the whole more respect for RNs, less respect for LPNs thing, and like this whole nurses paying their dues thing that I eventually learned throughout like wherever I went as a nurse. As soon as like even the group home, as soon as I stepped in there, when the other LPNs heard that like, I never worked in a nursing home, it was like, what are you doing here? Like, to them, I feel like any job outside of nursing homes for LPNs, like if you haven't worked in a nursing home, you haven't paid your dues. You don't deserve to have a easy job like a group home, or an easy job like home health care. Like, I think it's the weirdest thing. It's like, yo, why do you want me to suffer? And I always told them, because it's true, and if you watched from like when I was in school, I never planned on being a bedside nurse. The good thing about nursing is there's so many, sorry, voice cracking. There's so many different areas to go into nursing that doesn't have to deal with bedside. And it's just weird because when you think about it, like medical doctors, I have a couple of friends that I went to college with who are currently medical doctors. They don't have any type of bedside training or none of that. Like, they never pay their dues, but yet they're allowed to give like orders and all that stuff. So how come as a nurse you have to pay your dues, you have to suffer before you get the easy jobs? Like, I just think it's so weird. But that was like my first intro into the world of nursing, because I was just like literally like wondering, okay, you're telling me this, why don't you tell that to the RNs, the brand new RNs who have the same amount of experience as me? Do you think that she's qualified to be a school nurse? She hasn't paid her dues. You didn't say anything to her, but yeah, you say something to me. And it was just weird. So that was my first intro into the world of nursing. What else did I experience? Yeah, the whole everyone looks down on LPNs. And not everyone, I can't say that. I don't want to scare no one, or I don't want anyone attacking me in the comments like, no, not everyone. Yes, there's some people who know that LPNs are real nurses, and, you know, we pass the NCLEX, we have our license, you know, but I'm going to keep it real. From what I noticed from working, a majority of people don't think LPNs are real nurses, and it's literally the most annoying thing. Like, and I've experienced this since like I was in school. I remember I was on Facebook or Instagram, and there was this guy that I graduated with for undergrad. We both have our bachelor's degrees in public health. And I remember he hit me up, and he was in nursing school. He actually took the accelerated BSN route. And I remember I told him, like, oh, yeah, I'm in nursing school, too. And he was like, oh, where do you go? I'm like, oh, I would go to blah, blah, blah for their practical nursing. He was like, LPN? LPNs aren't real nurses. You need to hurry up and do your accelerated BSN. And I'm just like, I think they are real nurses. Otherwise, why do I have to go through this whole process? Why do I have to take the NCLEX? Why do I need a license to practice? Like, it was so annoying. Like, I blocked him. I was that mad just because, like, and little did I know was that, you know, that's something that I would hear a lot from a lot of different people. I remember going back to my old job to visit my old coworkers, and this one girl was like, oh, why don't you work here? We have a lot of positions open for RNs. I'm like, oh, I'm not an RN, I'm an LPN. She's like, oh, is that like the lesser RN? And I'm like, no, they're both nurses. We pretty much have the same. It's just a little bit more education. And like, it's crazy. It's a lot. But yeah, even other people, like, even when I do the bus run, sometimes the bus aides, they'll be like, oh, are you an LPN or an RN? And I'll be like, an LPN. You don't want to go to school for RN? You should go to school. Like, it's like they just assume that LPNs are nurses. They assume that you don't want to be an RN because you went the LPN route. It's one of the like most annoying things that I've experienced so far in my whole LPN journey. So enough with the negative. I'm about to go on 10 minutes of talking negative stuff, but that's like one of the key things that I've experienced so far is how people view LPNs and the whole hierarchy and how you have to pay your dues as an LPN but not as an RN. I'm like, hospitals hire new BSN RN grads just like that with no experience, but here you are mad that an LPN wants to do home care before working at a nursing home. Like, to me, that makes zero sense at all. Like, that's something within those people's selves that, I don't know, I guess they feel insecure with. They feel like, oh, you know. But anyway, just thinking about it makes me mad. So I'll get on to the positive things that I learned as an LPN so far. So a lot of people know, like, school, they always say nursing school only prepares you for the NCLEX. And that is 1,000% true that I've learned. A lot of your experience doesn't come until you start working. There was a lot of things that I didn't learn in nursing school that now I know on the job. Like a lot of trainings that I had to go through, a lot of things I had to have people teach me. From like trachs, we only used dummies in school. It wasn't the real thing, so I had to learn that, learn vents, learn oxygen, all this stuff. So it's definitely been a good learning experience for me. So for any LPN right now, like who just graduated or who's in school, if your school isn't teaching you stuff right now, it's okay. Don't worry, you'll learn on the job. Not every job expects you to know everything right away, especially as a new grad. So there's not a lot of pressure there. What else have I learned? I've learned a different type of patience with my patients, especially me working in pediatrics. Kids, like, they all are unique, as with every patient, and, you know, kids are kids. Some kids are super energetic, and some don't want to listen, so you have to find your way to, you know, maneuver and, you know, work with the kids. So, but it's definitely, like, great. I don't regret working with kids at all. If you guys remember way back when I had my pediatric clinical rotation, I remember I was so sad. You guys could watch that video. I think I call it like the saddest clinical or something like that. But I remember being so sad and like almost tearing up and saying like, I know for sure I don't want to work with pediatrics. But my first year in nursing, because I've been exposed to the pediatric population so much, I'm definitely like, okay, like this is I like this. I like the patients and everything. So now I know for sure I'm not trying to go to no nursing home. And yeah, I guess I should clear it up as well, because I know a lot of people are wondering, why hasn't this girl gone to a nursing home? And truth be told, nursing homes give me anxiety. I do not feel comfortable working in a nursing home. I don't feel comfortable, like, it just never, ever since, like, I guess, I don't know. Okay, for my undergraduate, for my bachelor's degree, I had to have an internship. I was studying health administration, like public health, but health administration. And so my goal was to be a LNHA. If you guys don't know what that is, nursing home administrator. Cha-ching, they got money. And I can still become one because I have some credits towards a master's degree for one. But, you know, I decided that I wanted to do nursing. But through that, I kind of saw how nursing homes are towards the elderly, and I'm like, I don't think I want to work there. And even in clinicals, y'all, if y'all watch when I was in school, you can remember me talking about having anxiety going to clinicals. I always wanted to skip out on clinicals just because I didn't like it. It literally made me uncomfortable. Every morning waking up for clinical was hard for me. Like, I literally had to say a prayer and ask God, like, please let today be an easy day, because it raised my anxiety. It made me nervous. I hated it. So that's why, as a nurse, now I don't want to work in nursing homes whatsoever, which is why I'm also trying to hurry up and get my RN, because as an RN, there's plenty more opportunities. You're not just subjected to a nursing home. And for LPNs too, but it's just not that much of a range. You could do home health care, you could do clinics, doctor's offices, and nursing homes. But for RNs, you could do a whole bunch of other stuff. And my ultimate goal is to be like, I want to combine my public health degree and my nursing degree and do public health nursing. And the only way you could be a public health nurse is if you have a BSN and you're RN, which is why I'm trying to hurry up. So for those of you guys wondering why I never worked in the nursing home, it's never been my goal ever, 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 like, ever. Like, I know a lot of people say that's where you get your experience, but like I stated before, there's brand new RNs with no experience that get hired in hospitals and other places, you know? Yeah. What else? I think that's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions for me, and hopefully I didn't offend anyone in the comments, it's just like, that's my personal experience as an LPN. I know everyone else has different experiences, but just based on what I've seen my first year, there's definitely a lack of respect for LPNs. Even on Facebook, I follow this group, Black Nurses Rock. Probably a couple of you have followed them as well. And you could see, like, there's such an ego thing with some of these RNs, and they just look down on LPNs. Like, oh, LPNs can't tell us what to do. Oh, can you imagine that LPN wanted to write me up? Like, it's always something. I usually see, like, people like to post their graduation pictures from nursing school. And, like, every time you see, like, someone graduate from the practical nursing program, like, oh, yeah, guys, I finally did it. Or sometimes a parent will be like, oh, my daughter graduated and she's now at LPN. You'll see someone comment, like, the haha emojis. And it's just, like, so weird. It's so weird. Like, the hierarchy, like, people and their egos, it's crazy. And especially for me, like I said, before I became a nurse and decided to become a nurse, I was coming from a administration area. And so while I was doing my internship, it's crazy to me, like, to administration nurses, or they don't care if you're an LPN, RN, you're just a nurse, you know? So to see like once I enter the nursing world, it's like, oh, I'm an LPN, oh, I'm an RN, oh, they're just a CNA. It's like crazy, because like from the administration side, when you work in the offices and the higher ups, they don't see nurses as anything. So like that's why for me it's just the biggest, like, it's like a whole new world just opened up where I'm just like, oh, like, we find each other in here, but on the outside, like, no one really, you know, it's weird. It's really weird, but that has been my experience so far 1 year as a nurse. I do love nursing. I do love home care. I'm happy where I'm at. Group homes, I would reconsider doing group homes again. I just wouldn't go to that same particular one that I worked at because that lady was crazy, but, I know a lot of people who work in group homes, and they say usually male patients are a lot easier than female patients. But yeah, I'm not like completely ruling out working in group homes. Like, I would definitely work in a group home again. It's a pretty chill vibe. It's just that particular one had a crazy in it. So yeah, I'm definitely happy as a nurse. I just want to, as an LPN, I just want to hurry up and get my RN so I could get to my actual nursing goal, because I feel like I'm not where I want to be right now, but I'm content where I'm at, but not that content, because I still want to be an RN. So yeah, guys, that is it. If you have any questions, let me know. Ask below, bars. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And hopefully I didn't offend anyone in this. I didn't mean to offend anyone in any way, shape, or form. I still love being an LPN. I wouldn't be an LPN if, you know, I didn't like being an LPN. Like, I would definitely, like, say, oh, I don't need this nursing license and go work somewhere else. I like being a nurse, so, you know, hopefully I didn't offend anyone, any LPNs or anything like that. All right, guys, see ya.